Before the Civil War, homosexuality was mainly hidden. The word itself wasn't coined until 1868 in Germany. Homosexuality fell under sodomy, which was still illegal in America based on English laws against buggery. Penalty for attempted sodomy was prison, whipping, banishment, or fines. As queer subculture grew, so did knowledge of it. Until the 30s, gay clubs were openly operated and called pansy clubs. In the mid-30s, Victorian values resurged and many laws were passed against homosexuality, and it was classified as a mental illness. During World War II, many lesbians joined the army and worked in traditionally male roles. The first gay rights organization, the Society for Human Rights, was founded by Henry Gerber in Chicago in 1924. Their publication, Friendship and Freedom, was also the first gay civil rights publication. The society was short-lived, as in July of 1925, Gerber was arrested and all copies of Friendship and Freedom were destroyed. In 1950, the Mattachine Society was founded by Henry Clay in Los Angeles to protect the rights of homosexuals. The Society's statement of missions and purpose calls for a movement to change discrimination and build a gay community. Due to the communist leanings of many members, in March of 1953, an LA newspaper called the Society a strange new pressure group. The article ended in a conservative movement against them. In the end, the founders stepped down and the organization fell apart. In 1955, the Daughters of Bilitis was formed in San Francisco by 4 lesbian couples. It was conceived as a social alternative to lesbian bars. As it gained members, focus shifted to those afraid to come out. The group encouraged members to assimilate into straight culture. Since they weren't allowed to advertise in the newspaper, they printed their own, The Ladder. It was the first nationally distributed lesbian publication. In its 14 years, the Daughters of Bilitis educated lesbians, gay men, researchers, and mental health professionals. The Gay Liberation Front was founded in 1969 in response to the Stonewall riots. The main goals of the GLF were sexual liberation and the destruction of limiting societal conventions. In 1972, the organization, which ended up full of internal disagreement, fell apart. The GLF has had a lasting effect of anti-assimilation policy. The Gay-Straight Alliance Network was started in 1998 to fight homophobia and transphobia in schools. Over the years, it has become a nationwide organization and has recently been renamed the Gender Sexuality Alliance to include more of the community. On June 28th of 1969, police raided a popular gay bar called the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village, New York, which was operating without a liquor license. As 3 drag queens were forced into a wagon, the crowd amassed on the street began throwing bottles at the police. The riots spurred the formation of the Gay Liberation Front and other organizations. 1 year after the Stonewall riots, the first Pride parades were held to commemorate the event. In 1973, homosexuality is taken off the list of mental disorders by the American Psychological Association. In 1977, Harvey Milk was elected as a San Francisco city supervisor. He was one of the first openly gay elected officials. He spoke out on many important issues such as racial, gender, and LGBT problems. During his time in office, he received daily death threats and famously said, "If a bullet should enter my brain, let that bullet destroy every closet door." In 1978, Harvey Milk and San Francisco Mayor George Moscone were shot by a former supervisor, Dan White. On the day of their assassination, many people around the country came out of the closet to show support. Dan White claimed he had eaten too much junk food and was therefore not to be held accountable for his actions. This is now known as the Twinkie defense. He was only sentenced to 8 years in prison, leading to the White Night riots, where citizens protested at City Hall and set police cars on fire. In 1981, the AIDS crisis led to groups being set up for advocacy and to force the government into action. In 1987, Representative Barney Frank came out and became the first openly gay Congress member. In 1998, a 21-year-old gay college student by the name of Matthew Shepard was robbed, beaten, and tied to a fence by 2 men in Wyoming. He died of his injuries. His name was borne by a federal hate crime legislation approved in 2009. In 1953, President Eisenhower bans homosexuals from working in the federal government, calling them a security risk. In 1993, Bill Clinton implements Don't Ask, Don't Tell, preventing gay people from openly serving in the military and forcing thousands of people to be fired from the armed forces. In 1996, Congress banned federal recognition of same-sex marriage with the Defense of Marriage Act. This meant that while specific states may recognize such marriages, the federal government will not, affecting spousal benefits and taxes. In 2004, Massachusetts became the first state to legalize same-sex marriage. In the next few years, the rights of gay couples to marry fluctuates at the state level. In June of 2013, the Supreme Court struck down the Defense of Marriage Act. California's ban on same-sex marriage was also lifted in that same month. In June of 2015, the Supreme Court rules that same-sex marriage is illegal in all 50 states.